Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
A very, very good day, good morning, good evening, good afternoon to you, wherever you are in this world. I am hugely excited to be introducing our amazing guest on this Live, Learn, Teach, Inspire episode, which we run once a month, and we invite incredible, unbelievably talented people who can really go down that route of living. They've lived, they're learning, they're teaching, and they're inspiring. And today I am going to be taking you into an introduction on a woman that I've had the privilege of working with, of coaching with, and who's come through our Train the Trainer program many, many years ago. This is Dr. Justina Mutale, who has basically been globally acclaimed as one of the most influential and inspirational African women. In 2012, she was named African Woman of the Year, sharing a platform with various African heads of state. Dr. Mutale is a global impact visionary leader with over 30 years experience working in the diplomatic and international development setting. And she is an internationally development expert, a human rights activist, a gender advocate, and has been a philanthropist. She's an international leader. She has written incredible books, The Art of Iconic Leadership, Power Secrets of Female World Leaders, and is a co-author of the highly cerebral book, Women on Corporate Boards, an international perspective. In addition to contributing to several other global publications and books on leadership, gender equality, diversity, inclusion, including the most incredible Forbes magazine, which, as you all, I'm sure, are aware, is not an easy magazine to get featured on the cover of. Dr. Mutale has for years consistently advocated for gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls. She is the founder and president of her own organization, which is the Justina Mutale Foundation, and it's got a huge scholarship program for underprivileged African young women. And Dr. Mutale serves as the vice president of the United Kingdom's National Alliance of Women's Organizations, which is based out of the UK, and serves as a global envoy which is headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia, in the United States of America. And through her foundation, Dr. Mutale advocates for gender equality and the empowerment of women and girls in political leadership and economic empowerment by providing leadership and entrepreneurship training, mentorship, and coaching. The foundation also advocates for the retention and completion of tertiary education for young women and girls from rural and disadvantaged communities throughout Africa by providing them with university scholarships and access to incredible tertiary education around the world. And lately, in Justina's words, from our ancestors come our names, but from our virtues, our honors. Your work in the world can only be undertaken by one person, and that's yourself. All of us have our part to play, and our work can be called a success only when in some way it serves our fellow man. And this is fundamental. And this really leads on to this incredible honorary award that Dr. Justina Mutale has been honored with by the United States 46th President. It's the Global Award of Voluntary Services. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope I haven't bored you with that incredible introduction, but I could go on and on and on. Without further ado, I really would like to introduce and bring Dr. Justina Mutale in to the studio.
Thank you, Philip. Thank you very much for that flattering introduction. Sometimes I think, is that really me? As you know, women are full of what is called the imposter syndrome, and I think that is why I had to write the book on the art of iconic leadership, because I got tired of where, as a gender advocate, I got tired of hearing people say that. We have a deficit of women in leadership because young women and girls have got no role models to inspire them into leadership. So I had to come up with this book to show them that this can be done, and this has been done. And in my book, I chronicle the leadership journeys of women from biblical times, from ancient times up to date, just to late and it is, my book is of course a gift to the next generation woman, to give them that confidence, to give them that unshakable self-belief, to know that it is possible for them to lead as a female. So, although that is the intention of my book, but in this book, of course, I highlight the characteristics that the modern day leader should have, because we live in very trying times. For example, the past 3 years we've been in through the world has been through very traumatic times of COVID-19, and we are still facing the war on the Ukraine, which has impacted on many countries. We have the inflation, we have the rising cost of living because of the rising cost in fuel. As soon as the rising cost in energy or fuel goes up, every other commodity, every other item price will go up. And for I come from Africa, in my country, Zambia, and also, of course, in Africa, a lot of the cost of living has gone up exponentially, and this is because of the rise of the cost of fuel, which affects everything. So which means that all the strides that these African countries have made in the period, for example, I think that was between around 10 years ago or so, when we were talking about Africa Rising was the time when this most the highest the countries that had the highest economic rising rates were based in Africa. But all that has been taken away because of the COVID-19, and also, of course, the war on the war in Ukraine. So you find that everybody, whether it's in Africa or in the Western world, everybody is disillusioned because we have all these problems, both in our own personal and, of course, professional, in our professional lives. So this calls for a reset in leadership. It calls for a reset in leadership because humanity is at a crossroads. At a crossroads because of all these setbacks that are happening. So we need a new kind of leadership, a leadership that is human centered, a leadership that brings the leader as a human to the table, and of course a leadership that that leader knows that he's dealing with humans and not machines. Because the time now is gone when leadership in the past used to be about leaders commanding others, flexing their muscles, and just issuing all of these orders. But that doesn't happen anymore. I will quote General Schwarzkopf, who, before even this time, he commanded Desert Storm, which was a 39-country military coalition that happened when Iraq invaded Kuwait. And he said, leadership is a potential combination of strategy and character. But if you must be without one, please be without strategy. He realized, in the military, strategy is very important, but General Schwarzkopf realized that without bringing character to the table, strategy was nothing. Without bringing his own character to the table, his troops would be doomed. Those troops from the 39 countries that was the coalition against Iraq would be doomed. You have to have a strong character to bring with you in order to command a thing like 39 people from 39 different characters, the countries with different beliefs, different religious beliefs, different cultural beliefs, different ways of looking at life, different ways of thinking, different ways of attending to things that come in front of them. So this takes character, and character is what is someone's power. So
I love that.
when I speak about the power secrets of people, I am talking about taking someone and bringing a mirror in front of them to bring them face to face with their own character, to realize who they are, what makes them tick, what attracts people towards them, and how do they get people inspired? How do they get people to stick around them and follow their dreams? Just like those 39 different, just like those troops from 39 different characters stacked by General Schwarzkopf in order to make Operation Desert Storm a success. So that is what I talk about when I talk about your power secrets. It's to do with your own character, your own inner wisdom, your own personality. Who are you? What is it that you bring that makes people want to follow who you are?
I love that, Dr. Justina. It's fascinating. I know you could absolutely take a deep dive into what you're sharing with us, but something that I 100% advocate along, just to really complement what you're saying. I think one of the first things, as you may recall, is we get all our students, no matter what age, to write down some personal notes to themselves. And the first one is, the personal note we ask people to write down is, I am my brand. That's number one. And the second one that we ask our students to write down, no matter again what age, from a 5-year-old right through, I think, to the oldest student we have that walked through the door is 78, is that I would like to be the person that I would like to meet. And I love your analogy of that mirror, looking at yourself in the mirror and asking yourself some very, very deep, hard questions in order to sort of put yourself out there. And something I really would love to ask you is, where did this all resonate from? Where does this beautiful burning desire, because you've got a true calling, you've got a purpose, you've got passion, you've got qualities and something that drives you every single day? Because not only have you got your hands full, and for us to be able to pin you down to join us this evening was no mean feat, but it would be amazing for you just to give people an insight of, where did Dr. Justina Mutale get this incredible desire and inspiration from?
Well, Philip, I come from a background of very powerful, assertive, powerful, strong, assertive women. Some people have said I could say kind of aggressive women. I come from a background where women have always been leaders. So it came kind of a shock to me when I came out into the world to find that there was this fight for gender equality. Because when I grew up, when I grew up, I was under the impression, because of the women, the strong women around me, that women were natural born leaders, that women had the power to shape the world, that women were the guardians of humanity. For example, from my mother's family, a woman rules the kingdom. So of course, if you're the queen, just like the the United Kingdom always had, God bless her, so Queen Elizabeth, so does the kingdom from my mother's family. But also, although in my father's kingdom is patriarchal, it didn't stop one powerful, assertive, strong woman to rise up and start a movement that shook the political foundations of my country, Zambia. So it was kind of a shock for me to come out to the world and find that there's this fight for gender equality, that women's leadership were not considered to be important in public life. And as you know, all the leadership qualities that you bring to the table in public life, women have them almost, for some women, it's almost as a default from if you're going to be for example, a mother leading a family, you've got to do the budgeting, you've got to direct who's going to do this and do that tomorrow, or you decide which school your child is going to. And of course, you also mediate all these sibling rivalries. And this is, I think, is a skill that women bring to the table. For example, I've heard it said somewhere that if women ruled the world, there would be no wars, because no woman really wants to send their own child to war. That where if countries disagree, perhaps maybe as women have it, they'll stop talking to each other for a few days, but no one is really wanting to send their own child to war. And of course, in recent years, we have seen that some of these skills, what have been considered to be soft skills, and of course, they've been considered to be feminine skills, are the leadership skills that are required now in the kind of world that we live in now. Because humanity is now at a crossroads, having suffered so many setbacks, which include COVID-19, and of course, like I said, the war in the Ukraine, and a lot of other stuff. As a leader, one needs to come to the table as a person. They also need to realize that they are dealing with people. So we need a reset in leadership. We need a human-centered leadership. A human-centered leadership that realizes that I am dealing with people. A human-centered leadership that is authentic. You bring yourself to the table as a human, because in the times that we are living in, you cannot come to that table as a leader and start flexing your muscles and start commanding people around, because the people that you're working with or dealing with have got other issues that they are coming with from where they are coming from. And I know that what every human craves in this world is love, appreciation, respect, and of course, reward. So that is the kind of leadership that we need these days. And that is the iconic art of leadership as stated in my book.
Justina, yeah, amazing. And I would love to add to that. And I know it's a word that you absolutely embrace, is kindness. And from where we stand in the research we do as an organization, you couldn't have put that more clearly, because something that we've really looked deeply into in this fourth industrial revolution, there's this very strong me, myself attitude. There's definitely a loss of people looking out for one another and having that what can I do for you attitude. How can I support you and how can I help you? And I want to go back to what you shared earlier. And as you know, I'm a huge advocate of women. And you're so right. They do everything. I always use the analogy, in general, in the old school days, husband went off to work, husband came home, and all the washing was folded and put back in the cupboards, food was on the table, kids were bathed and fed and educated, blah, blah, blah. How did this all happen? Well, there's someone called the magic, amazing wife, woman, mum, the person who takes control of all of this behind the scenes. And this is something that really I hold big respect for. And the other thing is, if you want to educate anyone, share or show a woman something and she will educate a village. And this is something that I'm leading into right now. And I think, again, you mentioned earlier that you come from an incredible background with very strong leadership mindset, mentality, woman who spurred you on, your dad's side of the family spurred you on. And I feel, again, through our research, we're doing some incredible work with a gentleman who talks about what are we protecting, what are we hunting, and what are we gathering? What are we focusing? Where is that community, that sense of community gone? And that has been lost.
Yes, as you know, also in my research and as a gender advocate, but this is also a common theme that's been going around. It says that if you educate a woman, you educate a whole community. If you educate a man, you educate an individual. This is because, in every human, we have two spirits. We have the masculine spirit and, of course, the feminine spirit. And the feminine spirit is more prominent or dominant in women. And then the masculine spirit is more prominent or dominant in men, although you will also find a crossover where some women have got a predominant masculine spirit, and also that I think they call them alpha females or something like that. And then you find that there are some men who have a predominant feminine spirit. But because the majority of women have the predominant feminine spirit, the feminine spirit is about the masculine spirit. Let me start with that. Is about me, me, me. It's about the self. And that is where you find in a lot of men. For example, when you look around and see in the world the way things happen, that sometimes men can go out of the way and have a child out of wedlock. They would never even look back to see how that child is doing. But most of the time, women, no matter who they have that child with, that child will be their responsibility. They won't have to look at that child. Look after that child. But the feminine, this is because the feminine spirit is about building. It's about building the community, building the society, building the nation, building the country, and of course, building the world, and of course, enabling humanity. So this is where you find that when you educate a woman, you educate the whole world, because a child that is born of a woman, a highly educated woman, will go into education, will go as far as they want to go in education, unless that child just decided, I don't want to go this way. And of course, it's a very difficult bargain with the mother, because then they will be pushing that child to go. And of course, a child that is born of an affluent woman will lead an affluent life. A child born of a poor woman, even if the father was a rich person, will lead a poor life. So this is where you find that the feminine spirit, for me, I believe that the 21st century is a time to tap into feminine wealth. It is a time for us to bring feminine wealth into leadership. It is the only way that, for example, the United Nations can achieve what their aspiration for progress for all, and prosperity, and human prosperity and progress for all. Only when we can achieve gender equality. In fact, I'd go further, only when we can have women in leadership. So in my gender advocacy, I am advocating for what the United Nations calls a 50-50 planet. And this is where at every high level decision making table, at every table that decides the direction of the world, we should have 50% perspective of women and 50% perspective of men. Because for a long time, the world has been run on perspectives of men. And this is where the world is. We need to bring in the feminine spirit into leadership. We need to bring in the women to the table, because women have all the natural attributes that make someone a leader. Women have got all the natural attributes that make someone the 21st century leader. They tap into their natural wisdom. For example, when a woman has a child, even if it's just for the first time, for some reason, at some point, they'll realize when that baby cries, whether the baby is crying to have their nappy changed, or the baby is crying to be fed because they are hungry, or even when the baby is just uncomfortable in where they have put them. So women bring this high emotional intelligence to the table, so to speak, and those are one of the powers that I articulate in my book. And under high emotional intelligence, of course, I have God bless her. So Queen Elizabeth, the late Queen of England, because for her to hold together empire, which consisted of people from different parts of the world, different cultures, different beliefs, different religious beliefs, different ways of doing things. For all the years that she did, she needed to have that high emotional intelligence to understand the people, to know what ticks them, to know what's making them unhappy, and of course to make sure that she can mediate and make these people and bring everybody to the table to understand each other. And that's what the feminine spirit does. That's what most women do. When the children fight and there's a sibling rivalries, the mother is always looking for a win-win situation. No mother is going to stand there and say, yeah, you go and smash your brother. They'll bring you back to the table and remind you that this is your brother. You are one people. You have to understand, please forgive your brother. And coming from an African country, we have what is called the philosophy of Ubuntu that tells us that I am because you are. So in the philosophy of Ubuntu, we believe that we all belong to a greater whole, and the suffering of others is the suffering of others is our own suffering. After all, nobody would want to hate the next person if they knew that that person is part of them. So this is all about iconic leadership. Is when you realize that you are dealing with humans and also you bring your own humanity to the table.
I absolutely love that Ubuntu. It's the most wonderful, wonderful word. And funny enough, just to detract slightly, many years ago, I was watching a fantastic series, and anyone out there watching this incredible Live, Learn, Teach, Inspire episode with Dr. Justina Mutale, it's called the Playbook. And there was an African-American gentleman there who was pulling his hair out at trying to get his team to perform at the highest level, and he incorporated Ubuntu, which is such a powerful, beautiful African. It's iconic throughout Africa. I am because you are, and that really says a lot. I know Bishop Desmond Tutu very much again brought that to the forefront, as did Barack Obama. He talks about that with Nelson Mandela about Ubuntu. And going back to what you're sharing, it'll be really interesting to find out how King Charles now takes the reins from his mother, who was an incredible icon, most probably the most famous woman in the world. And I just pray and hope that Prince Charles, now King Charles, has taken many leaves out of his mother's book. And I would love your view on how do you, and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole here, but I would love you to give us a few sort of thoughts on how do you think, King Charles is going to take the reins, and, what do you think he can take from his mother's incredible leadership skills, and not only leadership skills, but her motherly skills?
I believe that any male child that is brought up under the wings of a very strong mother would take the mother's route. So I think that Prince Charles is going to make a brilliant king and leader, because he has been under his mother's wing for so many years, for over 70 years. Let's compare, for example, with Barack Obama. Barack Obama's father left when he was only 2 years old, and he was brought up by his mother. And I think because he was brought up by his mother, that's what made him become who he was, because he took some of those characteristics from his mother. He took that feminine spirit from his mother to become the great leader that he was. And I believe that this would be the same as with Prince Charles, King Charles now, because he had been under his mother's wing for over 70 years. So in a way, his approach to life would be a kind of, he brings a feminine spirit to life. His approach to leadership would be more like in the way that his mother carried out her leadership, because he had always been watching his mother become this leader. You'll find that in this world, men that are brought up under the wings of their mothers, they carry that feminine spirit with them, and they become brilliant leaders who embrace the whole world with them. So that is my my thought, and of course my observation when I look at the reign of King Charles.
I think that was beautifully that was beautifully answered, and I think you're very clear on that. And I absolutely truly believe that whole vision and philosophy behind that. And as it's always been said, you know, if you look at successful men, so-called successful men, and how do we measure success? But I'm just talking about, let's say, let's use the success of someone, you know, running a company well and doing well for their community or their employees. They always say behind every successful man is a very dynamic and very strong woman, which that goes without saying. Something I wanted to sort of bring to light here is, with your incredible knowledge, B, the amount of travel you've done globally, if you were to guide and steer young men and young women of today, what would you be sharing with them? Because as we all know, men and women have to belong. We have to be on this earth together. We have to guide and steer. We have to support one another. What would you be giving these young future leaders, or these future, you know, youngsters of the world, and not only people that come from privileged backgrounds, because you and I come from a continent that has a lot of very underprivileged people. You support underprivileged people, as I do. We've got huge charitable organizations which we both support and we advocate. But just going to really answer the question of giving anybody, no matter their background, what would you be sharing with young people of today in order to put their best foot forward?
First of all, one has to be themselves, because everybody else is taken. So in this world, you can't try to be another person. You've got to be yourself. You've got to believe in your own capabilities. You've got to be proud of you, who you are, from where you are coming from. For example, myself, I come from Zambia, so I am an immigrant. I am also Black, which means I am in the minority. I'm also a woman, which of course is in the minority, because now we are trying to fight for gender equality. On top of that, I am also a single parent in a foreign country. But don't let any of those things hold you back. Believe in who you are and take yourself to wherever you can in the world. And also to know that the world will embrace you when you are authentic, when you bring yourself to the table as who you are. And also to know that humans are all the same. It doesn't matter what part of the world or country you are in. You just have to know how to navigate, how to handle the humans. And that brings me back to my time having, of course, been attending your etiquette lessons. And someone quoted that in all my travel, I find that etiquette is the most important thing. So when you travel to other people's countries, other people's houses, or other people's communities or cultures, you have to remember to respect those cultures. Always respect your host. Always understand who those people are. In that way, you can then know how to relate with those people. If you don't have that etiquette of knowing how to understand those people, to appreciate their cultures, and how to interact with them, then you will be totally lost in this world. That is the advice that I can give.
I absolutely love that, and it is so true. Yeah, as you know, we advocate the power of etiquette and manners along with your emotional intelligence, and this is something that I know you have 100% hands down portrayed in your whole journey, in character and in who you and who and how you engage with people. Something that I know for a fact that you've also done throughout your life is you've not only inspired people, but you've always surrounded yourself with very dynamic people. You've always surrounded yourself with people maybe even better than yourself. And that in itself has, I'm sure, spurred you on in your life. And I'd love you to share with our listeners and with our viewers some of the little anecdotes or areas of your life, the people that you have rubbed shoulders with, and some of those little maybe phrases or little bits of guidance or little bits of words of advice that people have given you on your journey.
I normally don't like to I read somewhere somebody did say once, and this is a quote that I have used before, that in the world we now have 8 billion people, and no matter how wide you travel, you meet a few special people. And I think in the world you will meet people that are drawn to your energy, or perhaps that you have the same kind of energy wavelength, or you are on the same plane in life, because we all humans are on different planes of life. There are some that I don't know what way to use, but sort of are not fully awake. And then you have the next people that are almost in the middle, and then you have the ones that are at higher level. We have several levels of perhaps human consciousness. And so as we travel along in the world, we will attract those people who kind of have our own energies. So this is where I bring in the art of iconic leadership and the power secrets. Because once you realize your power secrets, you will be able to draw those people that can recognize the kind of energy that you have. For example, most in my research to write my book, I realized that most the world's most iconic leaders have managed or have realized how to access and utilize their power secrets. People like, for example, Martin Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Barack Obama, all those people knew what their power secret was, and they utilized them to have people unreservedly follow them. Then we also come back to those people who realize their power secrets, and they have used it to build big business empires. For example, Jeff Bezos. When people think of Amazon, they think of Jeff Bezos. But when you look back, you'll see that there are a lot of other people that come in and make Amazon run the way it does. When you think of Facebook, people just think of Mark Zuckerberg, but Mark doesn't do everything that needs to be done to sustain Facebook. He's got other people that are working. He's got all these tech people that work to make Facebook what it is. And let's look at for example, the Sheikh of Dubai or United Arab Emirates, both sheikhs, what they have done with Dubai. That was a desert, and they commanded that energy from all over the world to build Dubai to what it has become, and now it is a centerpiece of the world. So that is the kind of thing, is to understand. Once you understand your power secrets, and know how to utilize that and exude that, there will be no stopping you, because people that understand that power, because that's your touch light to the world. That is the light that will bring people to you. But of course, not everybody has the same light. There are different kinds of lights. Like I have said, Jeff Bezos has a different kind of light. Mark Zuckerberg, and of course the Sheikh of Dubai, and of course, for example, Elon Musk. So all of these you've got. Once you know your power, I think you will be able to find your path in life. You will be able to find the people who are almost on the same energy wavelength as you. You will be able to find the kind of people that are almost on the same level of consciousness as yourself.
Beautifully, wonderfully put, and really that really sort of triggers something within my, I suppose, my DNA and my repertoire, in where this whole vision and focus of the British School of Etiquette, now the British School of Excellence, really was founded. And there's one race, and that's the human race, and we need to take that on board. Secondly, I think where you have really sort of hit the nail on the head, this is about finding your personal brand, personal branding. Who are you as an individual? And let's take the spotlight off our weaknesses and put the spotlight onto our strengths. And when we can tap into our incredible strengths, we can really shine. And as you said, we shine different lights. We become a beacon, and different beacons get picked up by other beacons. And this, in my journey and in our collaboration with people such as your wonderful foundation and other organizations out there, it is finding people's. So I suppose if everyone had a keyhole, it's finding the correct key to place into that keyhole and turn it and open that door and giving people that opportunity.
Indeed, that is what it's all about. And in fact, I'll be running a course on the Wealth Elevation Academy, which is based in Georgia, Atlanta. And this is a whole full course on how you can tap into your powers, how you can, one, access your power secrets, two, how you can utilize them, and how you can exude them. This is the course will let all the attendants, everybody that participates on that, to be able to recognize their power. What power do they have in the world? Is it the power of vision? Is it the power of purpose? Is this the power of clarity? Is it the power of faith? Or is it the power of self-belief and the power of resilience? For example, in my book, I chronicle the leadership journeys of the most iconic women leaders of the world, that the ones that I consider the one I grew up recognizing, the ones I still recognize their powers up to today. So I start from biblical times up to date. So in my book, for example, under the power of resilience, I have Winnie Mandela. Winnie Mandela was resilient in the way that she handled her role in bringing South Africa to get its independence, because her husband, at a young age, with 2 young children, her husband, Nelson Mandela, was taken away and put in prison. But Winnie stayed as the connection between Mandela and the world. So if at any point Winnie Mandela had faltered and decided on her way to Robben Island that, oh, I'm so tired, I'm not going to do this anymore, South Africa would not be the South Africa that it is today. But she was resilient, because during that time, she was also persecuted. There were times when she went to pick her children at school and found they are not there, and then she was arrested and all of that. But she was resilient in her work, and she still kept there. Now, coming to etiquette. Of course, etiquette talks about elegance, women presenting themselves in the most effective way. In my book, I have Cleopatra the Seventh from Egypt. She believed that a woman's presence, a woman's leadership should be introduced by her appearance. That people, as soon as they see this woman, how elegant she is, how she presents herself, her presence should then tell the people that this woman is a leader. And that is what Cleopatra believed in. And she was elegant. She was impeccable in her makeup. She was impeccable in the clothes she wore. She was impeccable in how she carried herself. And these are some of the lessons that you get, for example, from the British School of Excellence. We have the lady from Nigeria, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who is now the Director General at the World Trade Organization. I have her under the power of intellect. And this shows how intellect can take you to places where you thought you would never be. Because this lady, she had worked at the World Bank as a director at the World Bank. And when she came back to Nigeria, she made these changes as a Minister of Finance. She made these changes that made such a change in Nigeria that people couldn't believe. And now she's the first ever woman, and of course, the first ever Black person to become director of the World Trade Organization in the 25 years that this organization has been in there. Of course, under the power of charisma, we have women like Michelle Obama. She was very charismatic she was so charismatic that at the time of the end of the reign of her husband, people wanted her to be president. So those are some of the powers that you bring to the table. But I think that the most important powers that one should start with is the power of clarity. The power of clarity is to know who you are, what is it about you, and what capabilities do you have in this world. Then there is the power, of course, of self-belief, where you believe that you can do anything that comes your way, no matter what. And there's the power of faith to ask in this world anything that you want to ask for and go for it. Of course, my book has got so many several powers. Some of them I haven't done them yet. I'm thinking of doing the next book so I can cover some of those powers. But these are all the things that we'll talk about in the full course that I am doing at the Wealth Elevation Academy. I've got the details in the chat box. If you are interested, you can click on there and register for that course.
And I have no doubt that that course will give people the most incredible tools and skill set to take themselves to a completely different level. It is something that I know from being on the inside of speaking to your various council and various people that are involved in the setup of all of this. It definitely is going to lend itself to being an outstanding opportunity for anybody out there who wants to take a step forward. I would urge you to please, it's in the chat box, take the initiative, take the action, because in life, everything's about taking action. Talk is cheap. We can talk until the cows come home. But if you don't take action, nothing's going to happen. And that is something that all of us in this world, and I know this is something, Dr. Justina, that you advocate. It's about taking action. Don't go around in life with your hands begging and asking. You can ask, obviously, do that because doors will open. But I'm talking about begging and expecting something to happen. We've got to make it happen by taking action.
Of course, like one of the poets said that it's a poem that says a woman is walking through life. She is determined. Is she focused and determined, or is she stuck to one spot? So whatever this woman decides to do, she has the potential to be different. She has the potential to be different and to become what she wants to become. So it's just about us not staying in one spot and not looking back like Lot's wife. What I get from the story in the Bible about Lot's wife, about looking back, there are questions that people ask. So who saw that she looked back and she had become a piece of salt? I think it's when people keep looking back and things that have defeated them, that negative things that happen to them, then you can never move forward. So like in this poem said, whatever you do, if you can move one step, it means that you have the potential to change your mindset and of course to change the trajectory of your life. So ultimately it's about to keep moving forward, to keep being positive and moving forward, and to seek what it is you want to seek out of life rather than to dwell on past things that have held you back and have created, for example, limiting beliefs. Because what happens is that in a lot of us, and especially women, we have been conditioned to been conditioned to think that we can be better than men. So we have those limiting beliefs in us. If we can just jump over those limiting beliefs and have that unshakable self-belief, like I said, to reach out for anything that we want in this world, then we can actualize that feminine spirit in the 21st century, which will lead humanity to the next level of prosperity.
Yeah, 100%. And something that I really would love to just sort of compliment on that is it's quite fascinating to look at the statistics of the incredible people that walk through the doors of our organization. And I have to say, this is potentially with our Train the Trainer program, a majority of them are these incredible women who not only have got incredible experience, but who've had the privilege of running households, raising families, and they get to a stage in their life where now they ask themselves, what's my next step? And it's something which I think is so wonderful, is when they realize that they can take everything that they've contributed, everything that they've learned, everything that they've taken on board through their whole life, how they can transition into coaching, guiding, and steering people and inspiring people to take that step forward. Never get in that rut. Predominantly, I'm speaking to ladies on this particular point, but also to men. We all have moments in our lives where we doubt ourselves. We all have moments in our lives where we're on the back foot. But as you just quite nicely and correctly put, Dr. Justina, is it's about putting one step in front of the other. And that old adage in life, the journey of 1,000 miles does start with that one step. And I think that's really is something that we need to inspire people to do, of all ages, and whether you're a male or female. And I know, Dr. Justina, where you come from, it's not about woman. You're incredibly dynamic in every sense of the word when it comes to gender. But I'm behind you in let's promote incredible women and give them the tools to put their best foot forward, because this world would be, and I've always advocated it, would be a lot more easy to live in if we had more women in charge and taking the reins. And I don't say that lightly. I really and truly don't. It's something that I truly believe in deeply. I think where we stand as coaches, as people who are trying to make a difference in this world, and we all have this opportunity to do that, ladies and gentlemen. We all have the opportunity to make a change in this world, no matter whether you're male, female, whether you're an it, this, that, whatever you might be in this world. Just understand we've all got something to offer in this world.
Of course, Philip, I strongly believe in that. So what my foundation advocates for, it was set up to get women and to inspire women and girls into leadership. But that is so that we can achieve, like I said earlier, a 50-50 planet. That I think God had a reason why he made men, male and female in this world, and that we need to hold our hands together towards achieving human prosperity, because we need to bring the perspectives of both male and female. Because when all tables, for example, now, since Angela Merkel left the G7, I think the whole G7 is filled up with just male. So which means that the perspectives that are decided at that table are all male perspective. There's no female perspective. So when a female perspective is missing at the table, so the desires, aspirations, dreams, perspectives, and of course the intelligence and the way of doing things of the female perspective is missing at the table. So the male perspective cannot speak on behalf of the female perspective, because we have different experiences in life. I come from a very big family of 13 children, and 7 were male and 6 female. And I can say that even though we were brought up with the same mother and the same father in the same household with the same experiences, the female child from my household has kind of different experiences in life than the male child from that household. That's why at that every high level decision table, we need to have both the male and female perspective. So in this world, from my research, I realized that I think it's only about 7% of the world's government leaders, perhaps presidents and prime ministers, are female. And to think that we have 193 countries in the world. So where does that leave the female perspective? Because those 7% are outnumbered by the 93% of men. And I strongly believe that that is where we have why the world is in such facing such problems, because we are not listening to both perspectives. We need to bring the yin and yang together to work together. to work together. We need to have that balance in the world, the balance of perspective, the balance of ideas, the balance of intelligence, the balance of energy from both sides, from the male and female perspective, in order for this world to be on the right track.
That is such a wonderful summary in every sense of the word. And I couldn't agree with you more. I couldn't have put it better myself. Something that I really would love to compliment in that particular final few words and sentences that you shared with us is there's that big word, listen. And I think there are not many people out there in this world, and we are mainly pointing at a lot of the leaders. They're not listening. They're not understanding what's going on the ground. And they live in their ivory towers, and they don't take other people's input in the way it should be. They don't communicate with an open and growth mindset. And there's a lot of self-centeredness that goes on in this world, and greed. And maybe that's been throughout times, but now is the time that we can all make a difference and make huge changes in this world. And the more and the sooner we realize this, I truly believe, and I know for a fact, that if we as human beings do not adopt these beautiful human old school qualities, we are in for a very, very seriously uncomfortable journey going forward in life.
That is true, Philip, because we are at a turning point. Humanity is now at a turning point. And like I said before, it's not a time where leaders should come to the table flexing their muscles and commanding people about, because in the 21st century, humanity, which means whether it's the people in your workplace, the people that you preside over, they just want to be appreciated. They want to be respected. They want to be counted. They want to be rewarded. So as a leader, we need a reset in leadership. So as a leader, you bring yourself to the table as a human, and you also recognize that you are dealing with humans. Humans who've got human needs, human who've got human problems. You don't know what is happening to them at home or on their way to work or anywhere before they get into work. So you've got to be authentic to start with by bringing yourself as a person to the table. You've also got to be sympathetic and empathetic to the issues that the people that you are leading are facing. You've also bring that compassion to the table to understand the people, and also to make the people that you are working with or dealing with, that you highly appreciate their contributions to your life, to your work, to the goals that you are trying to achieve together with them. And this takes a lot of, I know that the British School of Excellence is very firm on emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is one of the toughest factors, and in fact, it's a predicator of performance, as they said, in the workplace. If you have an emotionally intelligent leader, then people are bound to perform beyond their call of duty. They go that extra miles because you are motivating them. You are sympathetic to them, you are compassionate to them, and of course you bring humility with you to that table as a leader, but you have humility that makes them know that they can relate with you at the level that they can. And the people, for example, if it's in the workforce, that those workers can feel free to come to you and tell you what problems they are facing, whether it's the problem in their home or on their way to work. Because I know I live in London, sometimes when you try to get on the train, somebody's going to push you. Your bag might go with the train and you are outside. And by the time you get to work, you need to explain this and how that has affected you. So a leader can't be standing there and just demanding performance, 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 without getting into what are you really going through in your personal life. So that is what the art of iconic leadership is about bringing humanity to the table of leadership and realizing that you are dealing with humanity and giving the humans that you are working with the respect, the appreciation, the rewards, and of course the recognition that they deserve.
Justina, I know we could go on, and actually I was going to ask you to conclude, but I think that was such a wonderful conclusion to this incredible hour that's just literally flashed past feels like in seconds. Thank you so much for what you've shared with all of us. It's been opening the mind and giving people the opportunity to really understand your vision and focus and your incredible platform that you've developed and established. You're a true inspiration and you're an authority in the nicest possible sense. You're not a demand and knock people on the head authority, but you really are an authority in exactly what you stand for, what you advocate. And it's only a true joy and a pleasure to be involved in your life and associated with your incredible organizations. And we thank you very much from the bottom of our hearts for you making this time to be with us and to be with this incredible audience, and for the audience for making the time to engage and listen to what we've had to share with you, predominantly Dr. Justina Mutale. So thank you so much. And as that beautiful, gorgeous language of yours, it's Natotala or Zikomo. Thank you so much. It really is just an absolute joy to see you here with us on Live, Learn, Teach, Inspire.
Thank you very much, Philip. Thanks to you and the British School of Excellency. And also thank you very much to Jacqueline for the USO Global TV for hosting me today and for giving me such a prestigious platform for people to learn about my experiences, my work, my life, my ideas, and my perspectives on life. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Same to you, Philip. Thank you. Thank you, Jacqueline.